Michal. Thank you, Michal. Welcome, everybody. Wow, I'm excited to see you and to be with you in this Holocaust, the eve of the Holocaust Memorial Day. It's the 13th time that we're holding this ritual, 13th year. So 13 years ago, we came together, me and a German Christian nun, and we asked ourselves how to heal the collective trauma. And we took Etty Hillesum as an inspiration for this endeavor. And since then, every year on the eve of the Holocaust Memorial Day, we come together and get inspired by Etty Hillesum and invite others to be inspired and join this attempt to bring healing for the collective trauma. And 2 years ago, Dina Awad Sru, who created together with me, my name is Emma Shamba, we are also holding these rituals for many, many years and together, and we created cards with quotes by Etty Hillesum that will be also the inspiration for this ritual. And yeah, Dina, maybe you could take us for the first quotes that will inspire us.
Thank you, Shamba. Good evening. Yeah, and we usually begin with a quote that inspires our ritual. And every year we take one focus inspired by the diaries and the writings of Etty Hillesum. And this year it's the inner reality. And we thought this time that we would like to invite 5 beautiful women who will read this quote in 5 languages. And we're starting with Dutch, which is the mother tongue of Etty. And actually the one who will read it in Dutch is Manja Paf. Manja is the founder and the manager of the Etty Hillesum Center in Deventer. Actually, in her background, when she speaks, you will see the Etty Hillesum monument in Deventer. And Manja was born in 1945 in the shadow of the Holocaust with no normal family life. And her father was in Westerbork, where Etty Hillesum used to be. And he knew Etty Hillesum personally and tried to convince her to hide. But she chose to go to Auschwitz, and he actually survived. And Manja also in 1971 was the one who created or who initiated the museum and the memorial in Westerbork, which still exists until today. So Manja, we start with you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I will read the text of Etty. Wat is het leven toch mooi? Het is een onverklaarbaar gevoel. Het vindt ook geen steun bij de realiteit waarin wij nu leven. Maar er zijn toch ook andere realiteiten dan die men in de krant vindt en in de gedachteloze en verhitte gesprekken van opgeschrikte mensen. Er is ook nog de realiteit van die kleine rozenrode cyclamen en van die grote horizon die men toch altijd weer ontdekken kan achter de rumoeren en de verwarringen van deze tijd.
Thank you, Manja. The next language is English, and we have Susan Stein. Susan is a writer, an actor, and an artist in New York, living in New York. She has adapted the writings of Etty Hillesum and made it into a play and has been performing it for the past 10 years. And she has been also teaching the diaries and the writings of Etty in schools, universities, theaters, and prisons in the US and some parts of Europe. So Susan.
How beautiful life really is. An inexplicable feeling. It has no anchor in the reality in which we now live. But surely there are also realities other than those one reads about in the paper and hears in the thoughtless and inflamed talk of frightened people. There is also the reality of that small rose-red cyclamen and of the wide horizon one can keep on rediscovering behind all the noise and confusion of the times.
Thank you. And we will read the quote in Hebrew. We will have Lior. Lior is living now, is in the south of Israel. She's a teacher and she attended our online piecework inspired by Etty Hillesum, our online course, and also the monthly inspiration by Etty Hillesum. So Lior, where are you?
החיים יפים כל כך. אי אפשר להסביר את התחושה הזאת. היא אינה מעוגנת במציאות שאנחנו חיים בה. אבל הרי בוודאי יש מציאויות מלבד אלו שעליהן אנו קוראים בעיתונים ובשיחות הנלהבות והשטחיות של אנשים מבוהלים. הרי קיימת גם המציאות של הרקפת הקטנה, הוורודה האדומה, ושל האופק הרחב, שאפשר לגלות מחדש מעבר למהומה ולמבוכה של זמננו.
Thank you. And we will read the quote in Arabic. We will have Haneen who will read it. Haneen is a Palestinian from Gaza who now lives in Portugal. She's a writer and a peace activist. She also gives Arabic lessons online. And she's with us to read the quote in Arabic. Haneen.
كم هي جميلة الحياة حقاً. شعور لا يمكن تفسيره. شعور لا يوجد لديه مرساة في الواقع الذي نعيش فيه الآن. لكن من المؤكد أن هناك حقائق أخرى غير تلك التي يقرأها المرء في الصحف ويسمعها في الأحاديث الطائشة والثائرة للناس الخائفين. وهناك أيضاً حقيقة تلك الزهرة الصغيرة ذات اللون الأحمر الوردي والأفق العريض الذي يمكن للمرء أن يواصل اكتشافه خلف كل الضجيج والارتباك في أوقاتنا الحالية.
شكراً حنين.
عفوا.
And we go with German. And we will have Monica Winkelmann from Germany. I met Monica in the Zen Peacemakers retreat 10 years ago in Auschwitz. And she also took part in our online course, Peace Work, inspired by Etty Hillesum. And she's a poetry therapist. She will read with us the quote. And actually, I forgot, the date of the quote is 24 September, 1942. So, Monica, you have to be unmuted. 1 minute. Okay, go ahead.
Wie ist das Leben doch schön? Es ist ein unerklärliches Gefühl. Es findet auch keinerlei Halt an der Realität, in der wir jetzt leben. Aber es gibt doch auch andere Realitäten außer denen, die man in der Zeitung liest und in den gedankenlosen, erregten Gesprächen aufgeschreckter Menschen findet. Es gibt auch die Realität dieser kleinen, rosaroten Cyclamen und des großen Horizontes, die man auch im Lärm und im Wirrwarr dieser Zeit immer wieder entdecken kann.
Oh, thank you. We just would like to clarify some technical things. You will notice you are all muted, and this is for the quality of the Zoom and the meeting because we are many people. Thank you very much for joining us. And you will be unmuted in a certain time when we will speak about that later. You will also notice that the chat is muted. You will only be able to write whether to Boaz Amichai, who is our technical support. Thank you, Boaz, for your support, or Shamba or me, if there is anything going on. We also kindly ask you if you could write your first name at least, so we can have the photo, or even if you're without video, at least we have the first name, if you can change it. It's on participants, or there's like on the right of your photo, you can see rename where the dots are, and you can just put your name there. So, Shamba.
Yeah, thank you, Dina. I also invite you to put a speaker view on Zoom so that you can see those who are speaking. And I, like, with all the technical difficulties of having Zoom as our platform, we want to try to have this meeting, this 2 hours together, as a prayer and as a ritual, so that we enter into a different inner connection to ourselves and to each other. So this is our intention. And I want to start with who was actually Etty Hillesum. I believe many of you already know and got inspired by her, but I'll share again the presentation. So Etty Hillesum, she was a Jewish Dutch woman who wrote her diaries during the Second World War. And she was murdered in Auschwitz in 1943 at the age of 29. And her diaries that were written during the last 2 years of her life are a testimony of love and compassion, of trust in life and deep spirituality. She describes in her diaries and in the letters she wrote from the concentration camp, Westerbork, or that she wrote in Amsterdam about her experiences in Westerbork, the process of a woman who chose to believe in humaneness. And I want to say something about it because this deep humaneness of Etty, that's why we choose to every year in the Holocaust Memorial Day to come back to her, because I feel and we feel that this humaneness is a very important quality that we need to develop in ourselves in this time. Despite all the suffering and the pain that was surrounding her, she found life interesting and was passionate about witnessing all that happened around and inside her. And we decided to dedicate this special ritual. Each year, as Dina said, we have another topic. And this year, the core topic is inner reality, because Etty, in the time of the Holocaust, where so many people were murdered, including Etty herself, and so much violence was around, Etty managed to stabilize an inner reality that got deeper and deeper in her. And we felt that also now in times of pandemic, where many of us face a difficult outer circumstances and also a difficult inner reality, we can get inspired by with the question, how Etty was actually able to go through this time and stay faithful to her inner peace. So she wrote in her diary, ultimately, we have just one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves, more and more peace, and to reflect it toward others. What an inner conversation she had with herself with this statement, to start to reclaim larger and larger areas of peace in herself. And I want to read another quote about this inner reality and how Etty saw actually her task as a human being to connect between the inner and outer reality and to be a bridge. So she wrote this: the inner world is as real as the outer world. One ought to be conscious of that. It means the inner world has its landscapes, contours, possibilities, its boundless regions. And man himself must be a small center in which the inner and the outer worlds meet. These two worlds are fed by each other. You must not neglect one at the expense of the other, must not deem one more important than the other. Otherwise, you impoverish your own personality. So a lot of, especially in the beginning of her diaries, a lot of what Etty writes, it's like a conversation with herself. She writes as if she's speaking with herself, and she writes to herself, you must continue to take yourself seriously. You must remain your own witness, marking well everything that happens in this world. Never shutting your eyes to reality. You must come to grips with these terrible times and try to find answers to the many questions that they pose. And perhaps the answers will help not only yourself, but also others. In this quote, we can also feel how Etty wanted to be an inspiration, and that her inner search, her inner growth, her inner commitment will be of help also to others. And we'll reflect later also of how actually Etty is an inspiration for us. You can start also, as we read the quotes, ask yourself, like, what is it in her that you want to adapt from her way of thinking and being to your life? And I read a longer quote, which connects us also to that today is the eve of the Holocaust Memorial Day. And Etty wrote like this: she didn't survive the war, but she wanted to save not only her body, she wanted to save her soul. This was her main task. So she wrote this: if we were to save only our bodies and nothing more from the camps all over the world, that would not be enough. What matters is not whether we preserve our lives at any cost, but how we preserve them. I sometimes think that every new situation, good or bad, can enrich us with new insights. But if we abandon the hard facts that we are forced to face, if we give them no shelter in our heads and hearts, do not allow them to settle and change into impulses through which we can grow and from which we can draw meaning, then we are not a viable generation. It is not easy, and no doubt less easy for us Jews than for anyone else. Yet, if we have nothing to offer a desolate post-war world, but our bodies saved at any costs, if we will fail to draw new meaning from the deep wells of our distress and despair, then it will not be enough. New thoughts will have to radiate outward from the camps themselves. New insights, spreading lucidity, will have to cross the barbed wire enclosing us and join with the insight that people outside will have to earn just as bloodily in circumstances that are slowly becoming almost as difficult. And perhaps on the common basis of an honest search for some way to understand these dark events, wrecked lives may yet take a tentative step forward. And another quote by Etty about the Holocaust. One moment, it is Hitler. The next, it is even the terrible. One moment it is Inquisition, and the next war, pestilence, earthquake, or famine. Ultimately, what matters most is to bear the pain, to cope with it, and to keep a small corner of one's soul unsullied, come what may. So I want to introduce great musician that accompanies us also through the years with our rituals, Etty Hillesum. She will sing a song that she composed with lyrics by Etty Hillesum. And first she will read the quotes or that inspired this song that she wrote.
I draw a prayer around me like dark protective walls. Withdraw inside it as one might into a convent cell, and then step outside again, calmer and stronger and more collected again. Withdrawing into the closed cell of prayer is becoming an even greater reality for me, as well as a necessity. That inner connection erects high walls around me, within which I can find my way back to myself, gather myself together into one whole, away from all distractions. I imagine that there are people who pray with their eyes turned heavenwards. They seek God outside themselves. And there are those who bow their heads and bury it in their hands. I think that these seek God inside. אספתי מתוך הטקסט הזה איזשהו זיקוק של זה ולחנתי אותו. Find my way into myself, day by day, at the source of life itself. I rest from time to time in a prayer. We throw into a prayer as in a convent cell. There are people who pray with eyes looking up to the sky. There are those who bow their heads, looking for, seeking for God inside themselves. Withdraw into a prayer. As in a convent cell. יום יום אני יונקת כוחות חדשים. יום יום אני יונקת ממעיין המעיינות, ממעיין המעיינות. לפרוש, לפרוש לתוך תפילה. כמו לתא נזירים, כמו לתא נזירים. סליחה. תודה.
Thank you, Edith. I feel you brought us into this deep inner place, inner reality that this ritual is dedicated for. Thank you so much. And you takes us with this frequency that you put as a carpet for us. We'll enter into a prayer as a covenant cell, like you were singing. I will read 2 quotes by Etty about prayer, and with these we will enter into a meditation or prayer. For Etty, these 2 verbs were very similar, actually. And just a minute, I'll share the presentation again. So, as I said in the beginning of the diaries, Etty, her conversation is a lot with herself, speaking with herself. And then more and more throughout the diaries, one can see that her conversation starts to be more and more with God. So she writes, God, I thank you for having given me so much strength. The inner center regulating my life is becoming stronger and more pivotal all the time. My many conflicting outside impressions now get on wonderfully well with one another. My inner space is able to encompass more and more, and the many conflicts no longer deprive one another of life, or nor do they stand in one other's way. And actually, what is Etty doing when she is praying? She's saying, when I pray, I never pray for myself, always for others, or else I hold a silly, naive, or deadly serious dialogue with what is deepest inside me, which for the sake of convenience, I call God. So I invite us to close our eyes for a few minutes and let Etty lead us into this inner reality. It is interesting to be with more than 200 people on a screen, and for a moment, for a few minutes, closing the eyes and being just with myself. Inviting myself to be intimate with myself, with my breath, with my body, and with my inner reality. What do I find inside when I connect with myself? Can I become a witness? Can I converse with what is deepest in me? That for the matter of convenience, Etty called God. Maybe we can also call it God or another name, but just invite ourselves to recall, to remember that there is depths inside of us, that there is an inner reality, and that this inner reality is longing to be in contact with us and is longing for us to be in contact with it. And as we breathe and find this silence, I invite us to this conversation. In this eve of the Holocaust Memorial Day, in these times of pandemic, times of difficulty, how do I reclaim larger and larger areas of peace inside myself? Do I give space and importance to my inner reality? How do I nourish it? And if I find peace inside myself, how do I reflect it towards others? Do I also have this inner commitment as Etty did? How do I safeguard not only my body, but also my soul? And I want to acknowledge also that all of us got hurt by a history, by collective trauma. Either if we are descendants of victims or descendants of perpetrators, or just descendants of the history of humanity, which involved so much violence. And I want to dedicate this minutes of inner reflection to the possibility of the inner reality to bring healing to the past, and by this create a vision for the future. For a humanity that is not run by violence. And I invite us to take 2 or 3 deep more breaths. And with this connection to ourself, to our soul, come back to being with other people who are here with us to commemorate this Holocaust Memorial Day.
Thank you, Shamba. The idea of suffering, which is not the reality for real suffering, is always fruitful and can turn life into a precious thing, must be destroyed. And if you destroy the ideas behind which life lies imprisoned as behind bars, then you liberate your true life, its real mainsprings. And then you will also have the strength to bear real suffering, your own and the world's. Let's go to the other quote, Shoma. How rash to assert that man shapes his own destiny. All he can do is determine his inner responses. You cannot know another's inner life from his circumstances. To know that, you must know his dreams, his relationships, his moods, his disappointments, his sickness, and his death. How to keep an inner reality intact in difficult times. A question that Etty again and again tackles and goes deeper and shares about her own process. So just to be transparent, I'm a bit sick and I'm pregnant. So sometimes I mute my video because I need to go to the toilet or just lie down. So, but I'm with you. And my name is Dina, and I originally come from the town of Beit Sahur, Bethlehem in the West Bank. And for the past 7 or 8 years, I've been married to an Arab citizen of Israel, and I live in the north of Israel. And to be in this day as a Palestinian in the Holocaust Memorial Day is something not for granted and is not easy. Because for us as Palestinians, the message that we take with us about the Holocaust, it's because there was the Holocaust in the history, we have the occupation. And unfortunately, it's again and again being misused, this trauma of the Holocaust, to justify the different actions of the Israeli army or the Israeli government against Palestinians. So we actually did not get proper education about the Holocaust. So the first time when I read Etty, it was the first time that actually I had a chance to read the stories and to get a personal view of someone who lived that time and to be connecting to her as a human being, as a woman who lived this time. And after that, I mentioned about the Zen Peacemakers retreat in Auschwitz. I participated in this retreat. And one of the things that was powerful for me, among many other things, was we would be sitting in a circle, a listening circle, council, and we would be Palestinians, Jews, whether children of Holocaust survivors or Jewish Israelis, and Germans who are children or grandchildren of Nazis, listening to our stories connected to this trauma. And for me, what was very powerful to see actually, those children of the Nazis were also victims, and those Nazis and the enemy were victims. And it widened my view about the other side, the Israeli army, and the Israeli society. Now, living in Israel, many people tell me you must be more free living in Israel. But it's very ironic. It's actually the opposite. Sorry. Although my husband is a citizen, but I'm not allowed to get the Israeli citizenship. I only get a permit that I renew every 2 years. That only allows me to be in Israel. I'm not allowed to drive. I'm not allowed to fly through the Ben Gurion airport. I so far have 2 children and I'm pregnant with another 2, but they're all Israeli citizens. There is nothing proves that I'm their mother other than the birth certificate. I cannot have a bank account. So my life is very limited if I want to take it into this factual information. So this is the main thing that I needed to take Etty with me and learn. How do I keep an intact reality in a situation where I should have the right to be angry and to hate the other side? Every 2 years, I renew my permit. So we deal a lot, my husband and I, with bureaucracy, with the ministry in Tiberias, with the army, with the military army base that is next to where I used to live. And most of the time, many times we get into situations where we listen to the sentence, this is the law, we cannot do much. Or I go to the military base and say, they tell me there's no permit for you. The ministry has to write us an email. But the ministry said that they wrote you an email. How to be in those situations? And with time, I understood actually it's much easier to be angry, to go into anger, than to keep this intact reality and to stay seeing the other side as a human being. Even when this person is screaming, humiliating, not being respectful, it's my choice again and again how I react. Now I will have to be clear. It doesn't mean that I agree to what they do. It doesn't mean that I'm surrendering, or I know that my basic right as a human being is the freedom of movement. But at this stage, my power comes from my inner reality, from my inner stability. Let's go to the other 2 quotes, because then I want to go to another point and then we. If one starts by taking one's own importance seriously, the rest follows. It is not morbid individualism to work on oneself. True peace will come only when every individual finds peace within himself. When we have all vanquished and transformed our hatred for our fellow human beings, of whatever race, into love one day. Let's go to the last one and then I will.
The next one will be read by Diane.
Are you sure? Okay, I thought there's another one. Okay. And I must say, during this period, I was very much supported by a lot of friends that helped me to again feel that I'm not alone in the situation. But one last thing that I find myself as a mother now is how to teach my children Now, because of the corona, the checkpoints are closed. So for almost a year and a half now, my parents have not come to visit me. And we visit them, but when we are coming back and forth, we cross checkpoints. And sometimes we're stopped at those checkpoints and we see young men and women who are being in the uniform, having guns. And then my son, who's 7 years old, what are these soldiers doing here? Why are they here? Why are they having guns? What is the purpose of their existence? And my challenge is, our challenge, my husband and I, is to tell the facts, but not to insert hatred. So now we go to Dayan with a song. Dayan is a daughter of a Holocaust survivor, Dayan Kaplan. She's a musician and an English teacher. And she will sing for us a song that was inspired by Etty Hillesum, but she composed it and wrote the lyrics of it. She will read for us this quote and then sing for us. Dayan.
Thank you, Dina. Can you hear me? The quote: "Despite all the suffering and injustice, I cannot hate others. All the appalling things that happen are no mysterious threats from afar, but arise from fellow beings that are very close to us. That makes these happenings more familiar then, and not so frightening." Let me try once more. Let me try once again to hold them both in my heart, the beauty and the beast, humans in motion, emotions in action. Let me try once more. Let me try once again, not to stand in judgment of someone. So many things lie hidden from my view. On this humble path I have chosen to walk. Whoa, let me try once more. Let me try once again to find the inner light in each human soul, even as we cause each other unbearable pain, forgetful of our higher purpose. Whoa, let me try once more. And let me try once again not to lose my trust in our fellow man, for in doing so and feeling humanity's darkness, I'll only shut down my own heart to the light. No, let me try once more. And let me try once for so slowly lift them together into my own bleeding, beating heart. Oh, 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 let me try once more.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane. It's maybe important to mention that this song was also inspired by this quote that Diane read before by Etty Hillesum. And we will move now to another part of our ritual, where we will want also you to have your voice shared. And I can say, like, also say deep thank you to Dina, because, you know, I heard your story so many times, and each time it also reaches me again how direct it is actually, and how deep it can go to take Etty Hillesum as a teacher for difficult life circumstances, and how crucial it is to find this inner anchor, especially when the outer reality is difficult. I can say for myself, one of the deepest teachings I learned from Etty is how to overcome the state of victimhood, and how actually when one is a victim, or one sees himself or herself as a victim, how it's actually perpetuating the cycle of perpetrator-victim, and many times the victim becomes the next perpetrator, both on a personal level. I take it to myself where I feel hurt, how I don't hurt others, because it's such a tricky thing. And I can see it's also on a national level. Yeah, being a nation that got hurt so much and so deeply, and so many times, and in like also what Dina shared, being a Jewish Israeli is part of a system or a society that took her victimhood into violence. So thank you for showing this way out of this cycle of victim and perpetrator. We will have now breakout rooms where we'll be in small groups sharing with each other. And I want to put on the screen the question that we want to bring to the breakout rooms. So the question is, what do you learn from Etty about developing an intact inner reality during difficult times? And it will be automatic with whom you will be. So you can join the group. You can also be a witness. If you don't feel like sharing, you don't have to. And you can also, if you don't feel like sharing in a group, you can also take this time now that we'll have for the groups for writing. So we invite you to take this question now for 15 minutes. And Boaz will divide us to the breakout rooms, and stay with the question, how do we get inspired by Etty for developing an intact inner reality? And I invite you to use this opportunity. I see that there are quite a lot that didn't enter the rooms yet. Yeah, you're invited to join the rooms and even being a witness. There are people here from all over the world, and it's a very interesting community, I feel, with us today. If you're still here and didn't join the group yet, I put also the question here for your writing time. You can find the question in the chat. Welcome back. I hope you had a meaningful time sharing with each other. I can see by the faces that there are people present and that I can feel that it was a meaningful time. And we will move now to our next part of the ritual, which will be in a way a continuation, where we will want you to participate, but now in the big room and in the big circle that we are. And I invite Daphne Rosenberg to sing for us to open the ritual. Together with Shalom, her partner, they will hold the ritual for us, or the prayer. And she will sing a song. And after the song, you will be invited to dedicate a prayer or to share your commitment for discovering or anchoring your inner reality during difficult times, or another prayer for the healing of the collective trauma, whatever feels present for you right now. So you're invited already now, if you feel you want to share publicly a prayer or a commitment, you are invited to raise your hand. And you have it either on the bar down under the many Zoom windows, so raise hand in the reactions, or in the participants. You also have some will have it there, the option to raise hand. So I want to check if it's understandable. Some people will raise their hands if you know already that you want to share a prayer in Zoom. If you don't manage to raise your hand, you can also send it to on chat that you want to send a prayer, and then we will unmute you. But better if you raise your hand. Okay, so I see that some people already raised their hands. I will share the lyrics of the song by.
But Shamba,
Yeah.
Just to note, we are now in a ritual. So here, after, when we want to pray, we say 1 or 2 sentences of a prayer or a commitment. So we are aware of the time and the space, and that others can have the space to share. Thank you. Now you can share the lyrics.
Okay. So Daphne, maybe you want first to read the quote by Etty.
I'm too far from the computer.
Okay. So the quote to open our prayer is that we, and our prayer for healing also, Etty wrote, we should be willing to act as a balm for all wounds.
We can't hear you, Lior.
Now you hear me? I would like to pray for the teachers and kindergarten teachers who have to teach about the Holocaust every year, that God will give them the wisdom to use that subject to teach about humanity, kindness, and hope and brotherhood of humankind.
Yes, Yehuda, you can share your prayer.
I pray that we find the healing energies within us and can reflect those back on all those around us. Elna Rafanala.
Ruth.
Hi, shalom. Wow. Okay, so my prayer is to be able to see each other from the heart and to connect to one another and to be present and to accept everyone for who they are and listening to their own heart and for healing. So the energy of healing to each other. Thank you for that. For that.
Oriel.
Yes, I would like to bring into this cauldron of the ritual the voice of the voiceless who are suffering and to whom we are inflicting suffering every day. As Isaac Bashevis Zinger said, for the animals, every day is Treblinka. So I would like to set a prayer for freedom from suffering for the animals who are innocent, and yet as a humanity, we are all part of their suffering. So my prayer is for ending suffering of innocent beings.
My name is Esther Naini, and my prayer is to all those who have suffered, that they may find it within them to let go of their suffering, to be able to be intact with their inner self.
Eleanor.
May all people in the world will see the emptiness of the outside reality and the richness of the inner reality. Thank you.
Monica.
From today, I vow to commit to the teachings of Etty Hillesum and to be willing to act as a balm for all wounds.
Hello, is it me this time?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. If we talk about the inner side of us, I may use the word soul, S-O-U-L, in issues of showing our unique love or our unique light. And if we look at the word light, L-I-G-H-T, living in great harmony together, as opposite to being right, reality is great hatred together. So in Hebrew, neshama, netina שבאה מכל הלב, giving that comes from the heart, and light, or in Hebrew, achva ורעות, is the kind of togetherness that I wish to have in our world today. Thank you.
My partner in the small groups we were only two most of the time, and there was Diana from Myanmar speaking with me with a closed camera. She couldn't open it, but she shared with me her reality in Myanmar, and actually I cannot speak without crying. I want to pray for us, for me and for us, to be able to hold in our hearts and mind much more than what me and maybe some of us here are able to or are used to do, to hold in our hearts and mind the people who are in suffering all over the world, and to find the space, the inner space, to create an inner different reality, and then also hopefully an outer different reality for us all. Thank you.
Hanir.
I want to say a prayer of the hope that we can all come together and realize that we are one. And the prayer my mother told me in 2008 war on Gaza. And she was telling us this prayer. Because God is here, there is no fear or worry. There is no darkness. Because God is here, heart should be filled with hope. Because God is here, our souls shall remain full of light. Thank you.
I want to add a prayer for all the water in the world and all the land and the air, for purification and resourcing and for us as humans to take care of these resources in nature. Thank you.
Lenny.
Shalom, peace. Thank you so much for this inspiring international tribute to beautiful Etty from Houston, Texas. Etty lived in New York City, Atlanta, and traveled to Israel, Palestine, and abroad. My prayer is for out of this time, global, worldwide experience of separation and away from each other. That as a world, this will bring us together, great things to come out of this time, healing, laughter, love, peace, that will bring our entire world together. So much more. Thank you.
Shoshi?
Shoshi, you want to say something? You raised the hand. Shoshi, are you there?
Can I speak? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Ah, okay. I would like first of all, for my country, Israel, I would like very much, Dina's speaking touched me very, very much. And I would like that there would be what we call midat hishtavut, an equalism, equality between the amount of weight that we are putting on the memory of the Holocaust, which is very, very important, but it's extreme in Israel. We should put the same amount on the future, on the integration of the Palestinians and the citizens of Israel in our life equally. That's my wish.
Thank you. Rina.
I want to give thanks. Thank you, Etty Hillesum, for the way that your spirit lives on. Thank you for all that you endured and the love that you created towards humanity that is unequal to anything else I met. So thank you for helping us from the other side, from the world of spirit to what we need today. And thank you for Shamba and Dina and everybody else who's holding this ceremony so we can create what was just spoken, alternative, meaningful ways of carrying memory. And may everything that you gave to this ceremony to be happen, may all of this energy come back as a source of blessing and healing to you too. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask Khaneen again to share her prayer, what her mother taught her in Arabic. Khaneen. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I am here. So, لأن الله هنا لا خوف ولا قلق ولا ظلام، لأن الله هنا قلوبنا كلها أمل، لأن الله هنا قلوبنا وأرواحنا تعيش من جديد.
Thank you. And now we would like to invite Mira. Mira is actually my neighbor here in Ainabon. She's a singer and also an activist. At the moment, you will see her with Diane in the same house. Mira is going to sing for us a song called Love is the Religion. She wrote this song and composed it. She's going to sing it with Diane. The song is in Arabic and Hebrew. And Mira will read it in English to us to know the lyrics. I wish to say that Mira and Diane are together with another female friend, Dana. They have a band called Three Women, Three Mother Tongues. You can look them online and find their CD, beautiful songs in the 3 languages. So Mira, we would like to hear you read the song and then listen to you.
So the song says, my blood is red, whether I'm black or white. Nothing else matters. My name is human. When the rain falls, it doesn't differentiate between us. Rich or poor, we are all human. Don't tell me war for the land. What is the land worth without the people? Don't tell me fight for our God. Love is the religion. We have lost our direction, can't find our way. The path to peace lies hidden. It is time for change. Come, let's create a world hand in hand. Together we will make peace the reality. Never fear new ways. Be human.
لون دمي أحمر أسود أو أبيض ما بدي أكثر اسمي إنسان لما بتشتديني ما بتفرق بيناتنا فقير أو غني إحنا إنسان فلا تقولي حرب عشان الأرض شو بتسوى الأرض بدون الشعب لا تقولي صراع عشان الرب الحب هو أل تجد لي ملحمة نشفيها دمها أل تجد لي غيبة الأهفان يدها إحنا بعالم ماشيين ضايعين مش عارفين لوين رايحين طريق السلام مش لاقيين إجا وقت التغيير تعال نخلق عالم إيد بإيد ونخلي السلام شيء أكيد عمرك ما تخاف من أي شي جديد كون إنسان التكينو يبادلو لو يدين نتيبينو أشفي للشالوم لو يهان זה זמן שינוי בוא ניצור עולם יד ביד בינינו נבטיח שלום והעיקר לא לפחד כלל יהיה فلا تقولي حرب عشان الأرض شو بتسوى الأرض بدون الشعب لا تقولي صراع عشان الرب الحب هو الدين لا 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 تقولي حرب عشان الأرض شو بتسوى الأرض يشفيها دمها لا تقولي صراع عشان الغيب على إيه والدين حباك يداها تعال نخلق عالم ونتصور عالم يد بيد السلام شيء نفتيح شلون ما تخاف من أي شي جديد لو نفخر انت انسان شكرا
Thank you. So we come to the end of our ritual for this year, for this day. I first would like to thank the crew that was part of holding this together. I want to thank the musicians, Michal, Edith, Daphna, Mira, Dayan, and we will end now with Yael. Most of you this year, Yael joined us for the first time, but all of you have been part of holding this ritual again and again with us. And also Edith, did I mention your name? And Edith, holding this ritual, whether here in Israel, Palestine, and now online for the past 2 years. So thank you for your commitment and for the Zoom times that we had together to prepare technically and how to do it and the lyrics and everything. I would like to thank Boaz very much, who has been also a supporter, whether for the ritual as a technical support. This was a wonderful help this year. Thank you very much. And Boaz also has been one of the supporters and ambassador of our project as well. So thank you. And thank you, Shamba. This year you held it more by yourself, as me being pregnant and just got sick last minute. So I want to thank you for this path together. Every year we hold this ritual, and every year there is a new thing to learn and to explore and to do together. So thank you for this togetherness.
Thank you, Dina. For me, the friendship and the project that grew so much like this in the last 2 years, especially, it's really like one of the biggest gifts I got in my life to do this with you. And I feel there is a deepening in me, like where it reaches, like, or what the commitment that it asks for. And I want to include also in the gratitude Etty Hillesum.
Yes.
Also both for the path that she took, the inner growth and the inner realities that she maintained, but also for writing her diaries, because we wouldn't know about it otherwise. And also how writing was a source for her to connect to this inner reality and to stay a witness that was so curious to see what's happening around and what's happening inside as a witness. So thank you, Etty. I feel you didn't want to die, you wanted to live, and somehow I hope that we're managing to bring your spirit back to life, as it's so alive with me, I feel, and with many of the people who are here with us in the ritual. And we will end now with a song by Yael Deckelbaum. I got to know Yael and actually Mira Ilabuni together as I was walking with Mira on Ilabuni on the March of Hope with Women Wage Peace. And Yael sang her song, which became very famous, The Prayer of the Mothers. And I know also now she's working on creating a disc with the name Women of the World Unite. So I feel this ritual was, I think, 13 women who held this ritual. It's one manifestation of women power, women uniting. Thank you, Yael, for your voice and for your past as a peace worker and as a musician. And I want, before you sing your last song that will end our ritual, to read one quote by Etty that I feel is connected to your song.
Just one more thing. We forgot to thank the women who read the quote at the beginning. Manya, Susan, Lior, Haneen, and Monica, because they were also an important part of holding this ritual together. So thank you very much for your commitment and support in this ritual.
So it's my turn?
Yes.
So thank you so much, Dina and Shamba, for inviting me. It was amazing to meet you. The reason I'm here now, it's because I drove all the way to Ilabon to buy 5 packages of Etty Hillesum cards. And I believe that Etty is so alive. I feel her a lot, and through her books and through her cards. She's my biggest teacher, my greatest teacher. And really what she left behind is a treasure for humanity. And what I'm going to read now, it's connected to the song I wrote, even though I wrote it before I knew of Etty. So Etty says, well, I'm in God's hands. My body with its aches and pains as well. If I should ever feel utterly crushed and bewildered, I will surely remember in some tiny corner of my mind that I shall surely be able to get up again. Otherwise, I will be lost. And the next song is called Take Me in Your Arms. I think I've known enough desperation, and I think I've had too many complications. In my journey I found no destination. Oh Lord, take me in your arms. And I think I've had enough false education, been sticking for too long to regulations.
realization that there's no true reward for domination. It's been passing through to many generations. Oh Lord, take us in your arms, where the winds of freedom blow, where the sun don't ever fade away. We'll be lost again no more if you open up the door. Oh Lord, take us in your arms. I wonder if our global altercation can be resolved by chief organizations, or the rainbow's ever-changing variations. Oh Lord, take us in your arms, where the winds of freedom blow, where the sun don't ever fade away. We'll be lost again no more if you open up the door. Oh Lord, take us in your arms. We'll be lost again no more if you open up the door. Oh Lord, take us in your arms. We'll be lost again no more if you open up the door. Oh Lord, take us in your arms.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you very much. This is the end of our time together for tonight. Have a wonderful evening. We will post a recording on our Facebook page and we'll send it via email. So you can feel free to share it with others.
If you didn't join our Facebook group, Etty Hillesum Cards, it's called, you're invited to join, and there we share our cards and quotes by Etty and inspiration. You can join us.